which is a little bit more unusual than most. Before we get into the details, let me show you a short film so you can get a better idea of what we're going to be talking about.
The art world is based on transactions. It's artists, gallerists, middlemen, buyers, authenticators, exhibition organizers, insurance brokers, logistics makers. But on the blockchain, with 4art smart contracts and DNA fingerprints, the new art world is still based on transactions. But now, the 4art app, using vector technology and layer photography, can record the molecular structure of an artwork on any smartphone. The piece gets a DNA birth certificate, which is placed on the blockchain. From this day forward, with the 4art app, we will know when a piece has been created, what it is made with, who made it, who sold it, who bought it, where it is now. This information will be on the blockchain forever as part of the piece's secure digital passport, along with smart contracts for every transaction. They are always transparent, traceable, inexpensive, and secure for all, thereby preserving our cultural assets. A new business for art.
Now, our mission at 4artechnologies is to set a new standard for the global art market, and we're going to do so by utilizing and connecting key technologies in image recognition, smart contract, and blockchain technologies. Now, when we talk about the art market, it's hard to understand just how large the market is. In 2017, on a global scale, there was transaction volume of over $63 billion, made up of 39 individual transactions. There was also over 80 million transports. So if you take, for example, Art Basel, one of the leading exhibitions in the art world, you have 300,000 individual pieces that get transported there, exhibited, and then transported back, making 600,000 movements just for one exhibition, and there's over 70 of these exhibitions worldwide every single year. We also have a growth of about 12% from one year to the next, and it's a really, really old and established market, and a market that hasn't changed in the last decades. So for example, you can see only 8% of all the transactions are done digitally or online, and the key players who have existed for the past years are still the same, and they hold a lot of power. Now, with any market that hasn't really changed in many decades, there are a couple of key challenges that need to be solved. The main one is still forgeries. It is estimated that over 50% of all transactions and all artworks that are being traded are forgeries. And there's currently no real way of identifying these forgeries. And the damage is not just in material terms, so on money, but also culturally, because art is a cultural good. And if you don't know if it is authentic, you damage that good. There's also no proof of a complete provenance, or the history of the art object, as it's called. Currently, the history is saved on pieces of paper that the owners keep, and there is no central registry, so it is really hard to find out and find the information if the artwork is authentic or not. There's also no regard for copyright. So if you are the creator or the owner of an art piece, and that art piece gets traded, you don't participate in that trade. That trade is done between the buyer and the seller, and the creator of that art object does not participate, it does not receive royalties. There's also no transparency in the market. The information is extremely asymmetrical, and you always need expensive experts to find the information and to make intelligent investment decisions. So as a result, you have a large loss of confidence in the investment market, and you have a loss of reputation that is the cultural good that is art, which is really important to us. Now, to solve these issues, we've created the 4art solution, which is a new forgery-proof authentication standard for the art market. and it consists of four main components. The first and probably most important component is the augmented authentication technology. It's a new technology developed by our partners Atlantic Sizek. They are world market leaders in securities printing, and they have developed and patented a technology and licensed it exclusively to us, which uses just a standard smartphone, such as this one or the ones you have in your pocket or in your hand, to identify, authenticate, and digitize a painting. So you no longer need an expert who is expensive to come in, and you don't just do a simple painting, a simple picture of an artwork. You use detailed and patented technology to create a so-called fingerprint of that object, which can then be tracked throughout its history. The second main part is using the decentralized blockchain network to save the information decentrally and manipulation-free forever. So you always know where the painting is and where it has been and who owns it. Using the Ethereum blockchain, we also have the option to use smart contracts. So all transactions done within the system are done automatically with no interference, and you don't need personnel to execute them. They are done automatically as soon as you initiate the transaction. And the last part is the track and trace functionality. So throughout the history of the object and throughout its lifetime, you know where the object is, who owns it, what the value is, what the condition is in, and you don't need anybody else. You can just use the system to find that information. There are a number of benefits, more than I can get into right now, of using the system. The first and the most obvious one being it eliminates the problem of art fraud. It is still really a major concern. Our owners and founders, they come from the art world, and all their clients always have the same problem. How do I know an artwork is authentic? With our system, we can eliminate that problem forever, and we can do so at a very low cost. The second, and for me really important part, is that it brings revolutionary efficiency to authenticity, condition, and restoration reporting. Right now, if you want to sell an artwork, you have to get in an expert who is going to evaluate and create a condition report for the piece. That expert is really expensive. At the moment, an average cost of a condition report is about $4,500 per piece, per condition report. And it takes about a week or two for that expert to create it, and it's just a piece of paper that they write on with a pencil. We can do so using our augmented authentication technology, using the smartphone. Anybody can do it, and it takes a minute or two, and the cost is severely lowered. Currently, we charge $75 per condition report. We also create transparency at no expense to privacy. So the information, for example, the ownership or the condition of the artwork is saved on the blockchain. It is encrypted, but the owner has the option to display it if they own it or if they just want to be presented on the blockchain as an encrypted text code, so you can have the transparency while also preventing the owners to be exposed to liabilities or other forms of fraud. The fourth main benefit is it enables easy purchase of logistics insurance for artwork carriers. So as of right now, if you are, for example, an artwork carrier and you want to transport artwork to an exhibition, you load up your truck, then you set an approximate value of all the artwork that is on your truck. Then you buy insurance, you call your insurance company, you buy the insurance for the approximate amount, and then you go. Now, first of all, that is a very complicated process, and you always have over or under insurance. You're never getting the exact value. In our system, the carriers can use our app to both evaluate the objects that are currently on the truck, and they can create condition reports before they load them up, and then according to the exact value, use our app to buy insurance for the transport from one of our many partners which are already offering insurance within our system. And lastly, you empower artists to earn from the resales of the artworks. So if you are an artist and you are saved as the art or the creator of an artwork in the blockchain, you are participating in resales of your artwork just through the function of smart contracts. You don't have to worry about the issue at all. Once the artwork is traded, a smart contract is initiated, and the creator or the owner of that artwork gets reimbursed and participates in that trade. It also makes managing portfolios a lot easier. Once you've created your user, you can create a portfolio for your artwork. For example, curators, galleries, collectors, they can create a portfolio and they can easily track that portfolio forever for generations to come. What is really important to note though is that our solution does not replace anybody. What we do is make the work of every player, so be it gallerists, restorators, logistics makers, artists being alive, we make everybody's work easier, faster, and a lot more cost efficient. Because as of right now, all the transaction, all the supplemental work that is necessary is very, very expensive and very time consuming. We are a partner to the players who hold a lot of power and who have the network, and we do not seek to replace them, just to help them. Now, having talked about the project side, let us talk about the investment side. As a function of using the Ethereum blockchain and having smart contracts, we have created this 4art token, which is a utility token used to pay for the services within our system and to initiate the solid smart contracts. And the pre-sale of those tokens is live right now. We've already finished the closed group sale. We've raised almost 16 million euros, and we've reached our soft cap already, so the project is a go. But you can still participate at a lower price, and it is very advised to be part of our game changer right now. Talking about the token and the roadmap, as you can see, the closed group has already finished. We're currently in the pre-sale stage, which will end at the end of this month. And then coming for 2 months, we have an ICO early bird. Currently, the price of the tokens is 10 cents per token. In the next stage, it will be 20 cents per token. And then at the end of the year, so starting in November, the full ICO will launch at 30 cents a token, and it will end at the end of the year when we go also to exchange listing. If you are buying tokens now, of course, you have an implicated value raise of over 200% included right now. It is also important to note that we only issue about 26% of all the tokens. Most of the tokens will remain in the system to power the ecosystem, power the smart contracts. As for example, a user of the system, you don't have to buy tokens from an exchange. You can just enter your credit card in the system, and the app and our system will then convert to 4art tokens to perform it within our system. Now, our MVP from the software is going to be ready next month, and then in the beginning of next year, we will launch our product fully. We will first launch in Europe, and when it comes to value development, with just 1% market share in Europe, just 1%, we are already looking at a revenue of over $150 million a year. And then following that launch in Europe and getting a bit more experience, we will then launch globally, and we are looking at revenues in the billions of dollars within 5 years. So there is a huge market potential because that market is so unchanged. And the many partners that we have in insurance, in logistics, in curation, in artists, they have been looking for a product that is just like this. So I hope you have all the information. I thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them.